Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Colney Talk Podcast, the bite-sized show. I'm your host, Alex. First-time guest, happy to have you here. And to my returning listeners, really glad you're joining me. On this bite-sized show, I talk a bit about the Arsenal game and then pick out my top 3 Arsenal players who I think were great in the game and one player I consider the odd one who just had a poor game or not good enough who just needs to be called out. Arsenal back at the Molyneux Stadium going up against Wolves. The tricky games have not yet ended, I tell you, and this was one of them. Thankfully, Arsenal did not disappoint, grabbing the win to remain focused on what's left of 23-24 campaign. Kiwior and Trossard back in the starting lineup. I hope Tomiyasu's precaution is just that, and maybe he should take a bit more time. I mean, we need him for these other features as the matches get tougher, or at least some other options when we need to call him up on that. Having gone through difficult last 2 games, Arsenal needed to do a lot to get off under this heavy cloud. And to me, I would put this matchup against Wolves in the same category of Brighton. Same sense of Arsenal with the edge to win, but can easily get exposed or something. In other words, a trap game like feeling. It could be not very favorable for us because these teams, when we play with them, they are quality teams. Yes, they may be like in the mid-table or whatever, but they have good players, and they definitely give us a run each time we face up against them. As the game started, Jesus wasted no time trying to shoot at the keeper the moment he had a chance facing Wolves' nets, and it's a reflection of how aggressive and the urgency that Arsenal needed to just get one goal up, and following that, Arsenal started warming up to have their shadow cover the game with their passes flowing in the midst of Wolves' third, pressing them to disrupt their forward play. And even as much as Wolves tried to keep us in some trap of their press, we were able to just cut through that. And the Arsenal passes, they were clean enough to show how focused the players were, how adjusted they were in the game, getting really set to really put their stamp, at least try to score early. A couple of those early plays were such a good sign. And a few of those ended up with a comfortable catch from Jose Sa, but that was more so about Arsenal moving the ball well, getting more in the rhythm to really make an impact. And then when Wolves tried to trap Arsenal in their half from a fresh set of play, they didn't quite seem to do it or get to the level that seemed to give Arsenal more of a challenge, at least in the sequence of plays that I'm describing here. And Arsenal were able to move forward. It didn't give them so much of a discomfort getting forward in and around Wolves' third, playing through and trying to create something. And it sounds like this is coming, but it's not, because these are very quality plays for Arsenal. In the way they try to create some really positive play with low blocks, with the way they try to set up, and we make something happen, especially when Saka is combining with Ben White, or you see Trossard coming in to make that extra link to either open things up or at least get the flow going as well. So it's a lot of credit to the players. And on the flip side, when Wolves were on the ball in Arsenal's half, they pretty much tried to do what we did, but could not do it with great effort, because as much as they'll get to certain position at the edge of our box, you just have to recycle back and try to make something happen again, all the way to go back into their half, create something, But that, again, credit to Arsenal's defensive stance. Arsenal didn't really give them much from there, and Arsenal started playing more of their games with more confidence, cutting through some of these traps in different variations and fashions, and creating some more passing lanes that Wolves were really trying to set up that we created differently. And that, again, opened a lot more opportunities for Arsenal, getting closer to the edge of the box, flowing through and trying to make some cutbacks and connections, which weren't there just yet. And that seems to be the only thing that you can attribute to the whole game that we were creating. As much as our plays were very positive. Our passes were really encouraging. Within the box, crowded, mind you, we weren't really getting as much of a good output. And then Wolves managed much of our pressure and then at some point cranked up their pressing tactic, looking to dispossess. Arsenal were moving dodgeball-like with good plays mixed with risky passes. For example, one that Saliba had a cross to Raya away from the net. Can you imagine if that got intercepted in an open net? So those were happening. The touches now were happening in very good rhythm and high volumes that Wolves just couldn't manage. And as I just said earlier, everything was going freely, but within the box where we had pushed the whole of Wolves all the way back, pinned them in, that the shots were now getting a little bit more difficult, getting blocked. Some of those connections with the players we had in and around the box couldn't get to those final crosses. And at least it felt like the difficulty level had raised a little bit in terms of trying to get that goal or make something happen. At the quarter mark, Rice laid off a lovely pass for Saka to drive in the box, but lost his footing and confidence, I think, on his pass. Same as Trossard, waiting for the ball to land well for him to shoot, but that didn't happen. And after a quick reset play, Ben White's pass to Trossard again found him missing his timing to connect to the ball, and he whiffed on the cross there. So again, everything great within the box, not so great. I guess you could say the Arsenal players were so eager to score, it started affecting your technique in scoring alone. But I have to give credit to Ben White and Saka. They kept working something to get through Wolves' line and their defense and how they tried to set up. And Trossard closing a bit more with an understanding that he wouldn't get this many chances from crosses or open lanes within the box. And we tried to do as much as we can, and yet there was nothing to show for it. And Wolves, when they got the chance on the ball, their first set piece was excellently defended, but then a very poor ball control from Kivior would have seen us 1-0 down for sure if it wasn't for the help of the post. Again, posts and Raya just doing the most to really keep us clean. Certainly was not a good look for Kivior there at all. Tolerance for these types of mistakes is unacceptable at this stage of the season. It was a great save for Raya. It was a really great save for him. And for the game, I usually don't say much on the refs, but this guy, he should not be officiating at all. I mean, his track record is dangerously bad, really bad. And the tackle on Havertz, it needed a second look. I'm not here just making this comment just to really say he should have gotten a red card. But his reaction to that, he didn't even really make a good effort in looking at this play. I mean, it was very bad. And fortunately for us, Havertz wasn't injured from that. So, two sides of the whole situation. I'm thankful that Havertz came out clean from this, but super worried about this ref. I don't know how this is not a conversation, but I just have to say it. And then from that, we had a very bad moments in terms of a composure, another risky play from Saliba on his clearance, and I guess we got rattled or just not really getting ourselves together. I know I would not be, but not to the detriment of keeping things in front of us. It was really not so great few minutes following that. And then Wolves started making a few more connections in our own half, particularly on the left. Trossard and Kivior needed to do extra work because they felt they could attack Kivio's side, which is the left. And still on that matter, Wolves were growing in confidence in their pass combinations to attack Arsenal, and they gave us a little bit more fits. 0-0 entering the 44th minute in the game. Arsenal hadn't found success on the right combination to score or a number of those crosses they had made. And with Jesus creating some really solo plays to get some of the other players to come in, what wasn't really happening. So just this disconnect to make that final play really show itself. But this time, with all different trials for Jesus, he had a determination. He held onto the ball while he was trying to be dispossessed, lost his balance, got up quickly enough to lay it off for Trossard to hit a top bins and give us that goal, 1-0. Great goal, great moment right there. There's nothing special, but it's all about the determination. And immediately seeing Trossard take that shot. This is two different situations. Jesus' determination to stay on the ball, and Trossard instinctively just letting off one shot from him as the ball was just rolled over. And then from there we tried to create another opportunity after grabbing possession around the byline by Saka within Wolves' box, but we're not successful making any more connections. And that was it. That was it for the first half. We got the 1-0 lead, enough for us to keep going. Second half, hoping to pick up from where we left off. Passes were good, the runs were good, even the crosses looked as needed, but we were still having that problem in the box when the crosses needed that final shot or connection. And I'm talking about the chances, at least showing that threat. It wasn't happening, it wasn't there. Odegaard had a chance to shoot from outside the box, but was blocked. Another threat we had in the box was wasted in the moment where Trossard was deciding either to shoot or pass. I'm not sure if it's to blame him, but I guess everyone had that feeling player-wise to figure out what to do to make something happen. And still with the nifty passes from Arsenal, they had to deal with Wolves' defense when they were blocking our passes, blocking our shots, and these were in high numbers. So much positive in what Arsenal were trying to do, but they had to face a whole lot of defending and body shots from Wolves. And the gears for Arsenal, it really went up. So much fluidity in the building attack, so much better than the first half, mind you. And I think what was more impressive was that there was space created with the runs. For example, Ben White, Trossard, and Havertz, stretching things up and making the ball travel in places which we needed to see things happen. And it was happening without much hesitation. Again, we were just waiting for that final execution. Not sure if it was some accidental tactics, but Wolves couldn't handle this, and they started having a few more fouls to kind of stop things or make it in a way to slow things down. And we had a few more stoppages from there, especially when we had the ball in the box and we felt like we were driving forward. And I think that lasted for about a few minutes, and it clearly showed. And the game, while still much tilted in Arsenal's favor, had us stumble a little bit in that flow, in that rhythm. This is one where we had to build everything back up, get going, and find a way to score and really get full control of the game. Control in possession, we had it. Control in attack and how we wanted, and flow with things, we had it. But for the score sheet, it was still 1-0, so it wasn't fully all in our control just yet. And then for Wolves, they had their own moments where they had their first shot at Raya in the second half. Perhaps it was a sign of more attempts that they could have and they could build from, although it wasn't much for them to begin with in this game, no offense. But that was how things started. And they started climbing in, getting better into the game with the ball and growing in their plays, getting forward. We needed to make a change. First up, Martinelli in for Trossard. And as the game went on, past the 75th mark, we weren't looking as goal-threatening as we were earlier. Yes, 1-0 down, but anything could happen, and the onus was on the Gunners to get another goal in the bag. Jesus had a good pass in the box, but was muscled off the ball, and quickly Wolves cooked up a quick counter-attack. It was dealt with, but I couldn't help but wonder if we should have made, or we needed to make more change to improve things, because it just started tilting back with a chance for Wolves to get back in the game. Then Partey comes in with Jesus out. Wolves now more comfortable, while Arsenal playing do not lose the game type of play at this moment. A lot more defending to get those threats away from our half and still try to drive forward, but with a lot of intention of the time left in the game and the situations that we had to deal with. And this was up till the 87th minute. And then Wolves had the higher energy to get something from this game, because now it was desperation time and trying to grab a whole lot more out of this. Now playing in added minutes, Saka dribbled his way in this box and he would have scored here, but then he hoofed a shot. And then right after, Rice drove again in a sweet sequence of play, which led to a corner and then a set piece from that with a shot from Rice. And we started getting things a little bit back in where we wanted, which was unleashing shots. First from Rice, another from Saka, and another from Martinelli. So that was great. That was good, keeping the intention there. All great. Nothing to show for yet. Then the beauty play in the second half. Passes from Rice to Havertz to Odegaard led to the second goal. Quality goal. And a necessary one for sure. Then I thought there was more. Martinelli threw with a chance for a third, but was poorly executed. And that was it. Final whistle, 2-0, 3 points, job done. Really well job done. It was a hard-fought win indeed. These players were tired and worked extremely hard. You could see it in their faces, the way they were trying to catch an extra breath. They had done a lot. Okay, jumping straight to my top 3 Arsenal performers. First up, Rice. Both a defensive disruptor and an attacking outlet from the outside box. Worked tirelessly to suppress Wolves' build-up in the middle and lower left pocket of our defensive third. He probably would have scored from his outside shot had it not been for a number of blocks that came through. But more importantly, his game gave the backline a bit more calmness, even though we had a few nervy moments in the game. Second player, Odegaard. While I could see tired legs, he didn't stop driving forward to play on Saka or Havertz. I think he understands what is needed right now, even at this stage. He's playing with that heightened level of consciousness to keep the team humming, getting up, getting forward, and staying up. And what a goal as well. Wonderful touch, curving the ball in. More of that, please, because we definitely need it. Third and final player, Trossard. He had a number of missed chances, but thankfully he didn't hesitate his shot for a goal. There's more I'm seeing in his game that is crucial for this remaining games. And it's crucial because he definitely adds more quality in terms of people that we can count on to produce a goal, an individual play, individual performance. He's one of them, and sometimes it's never as consistent, but I'm glad he's there now to make it happen. And with these chances that he's doing, these are now those crucial moments. The chances and quality to score that he's doing right now, it is great. So huge credit to him. And shout out to Saka as well. He was hugely influential, as we know, with more intent on playing and connecting. Probably would have scored had he not moved the shot, but a few more of his plays definitely brought others along. And for an odd one, maybe not a clear candidate, but it wasn't Saliba's best showing, in my opinion. I hope he catches enough rest for Tuesday, because I know as the game comes thick and fast, we need the best of the best from our big man in the back line. 2 huge games coming this week. It's one thing to go through the emotions of a busy week or 2. Granted, that's a lot to say for, but it's another when there's a lot to play for, to avoid any slip up and any of these kinds of tiredness that we are seeing. It's like we don't have that. Maybe the luxury that we got with the rest earlier, now we have to pay for it. But I say this, let's all keep the faith, ignore the noise, and just continue remaining optimistic. All right, with that, I'll leave you here for now. Talk to you all soon. Take care.